This is a dojo, not a zoo.
Laughter burst out, sharp as a blade cutting through the air. Inside the gleaming gym, a famous female athlete smiled coldly, as if she had just found a new toy to play with. At the doorway, a young woman stood still. A faded t-shirt, worn-out sneakers, and a gym bag so old its zipper was about to snap. Everyone in the room stared at her with a mix of scorn and curiosity. Los Angeles, 8 a.m. Velocity Boxing Club, the paradise of the elite, where walls were covered with posters of famous athletes and the scent of expensive perfume drowned out the smell of sweat. In the middle of the bright room stood Trish Clipper Reynolds, 28, women's boxing champion and influencer with 3 million followers, laughing into her phone camera. Her tight Gucci crop top hugged a sculpted body, and her crimson gloves gleamed like a warning of blood to come. Hey everyone, guess who just walked into paradise? A girl from Atlanta. Looks like she just got off a night shift at a hotel. How cute. Trish tilted her head, smirking, dragging out every word. Maybe she thinks this is some kind of charity class. Adorable. The gym erupted in laughter. Punching bags stopped swinging. A few young trainers exchanged glances, half uneasy, half expectant. At the door, Amara Lewis, 22, held an old torn gym bag, sneakers peeling at the soles, standing silently. Sweat still clung to her collar, traces of an overnight cleaning shift. She swallowed, her voice small but steady. Excuse me. I heard this place has a scholarship program for beginners. Trish arched an eyebrow, chuckled. A scholarship? Here, honey, we don't do charity. We train real athletes. A fit, middle-aged man stepped out from the glass office. Tom Rodriguez, a veteran coach who had trained multiple champions. Holding a stack of papers, he looked up and said calmly, Your name's Amara Lewis, right? Yeah, you're on the scholarship list. You can stay and train. Whispers spread. Trish's eyes narrowed, caught between mockery and irritation. Seriously, Tom, you're turning my gym into a rescue center now? My sponsors pay for performance, not diversity points. Tom replied coldly. Sponsors pay for results, and I train results, not your prejudices. The air thickened. Trish gave a thin smile, then strode right up to Amara. The scent of luxury perfume met the smell of cheap sweat. Two worlds colliding. So, Amara, she said softly, but loud enough for everyone to hear. You want to stay? Fine, 3 rounds. If you last that long, you can train here. If not, go back to your mop. The gym fell silent. A cameraman lifted his phone, LED light flooding Amara's face. Every eye expected her to back down, but instead, she tightened her grip on her bag strap. 1 breath, 2. Then she spoke, calm, almost unnervingly so. I agree. Trish blinked as if she'd misheard. You're serious? Do you even know who I am? No, Amara said. But it looks like you don't know who I am either. The room exploded. Some whistled, others burst into laughter. Trish flipped her hair and sneered. Fine, but when I'm done, you'll wish you'd kept your mouth shut. She turned to the camera, her tone dripping with fake sweetness. My dear followers, stay tuned. You're about to witness the most humbling lesson anyone's ever had. Her words ended with that same knife-edged laugh. Meanwhile, Amara silently removed her jacket, revealing lean but toned arms. Under the cold lights, there was something different about her. Not weakness, but a storm waiting to break. Atlanta, Georgia, 12 years earlier. Amid rows of run-down red brick houses, kids boxed with worn gloves and sandbags hung from porch beams. A 10-year-old girl with tightly braided hair and bright brown eyes threw punches faster than anyone could follow. Her name was Amara Lewis. They called her Kid Lightning, not for her strength, but for her speed and the stubborn grit that few kids in South Atlanta's poor neighborhoods possessed. Inside a small home, her mother, Lucille Lewis, just back from a hospital night shift, was clearing the leftover food from the table. Hearing the thud-thud-thud from the porch, she sighed. "Amara, you're punching that bag again? You'll break your hands." The girl turned, face streaked with sweat and dirt. "I'm just training, Mom. I want to be stronger." "Strong for what, baby? Strength doesn't put food on the table." Amara fell silent, her eyes drifting toward the alley where a group of white teens rode by laughing. "Hey, jungle girl, go back to the zoo." The words cut into her heart like a thin blade. She didn't yet know what racism meant, but she knew what it felt like to be looked down on. It was colder than winter wind, heavier than any punching bag. Years later, after her mother died of exhaustion, Amara dropped out of school and took any job she could find. Dishwashing, cleaning rooms, late-night service shifts. Whenever she felt too tired to go on, she remembered her mother's words on a powerless night. "You can't choose where you're born, baby, but you can choose how you stand up." So she found her way to the old boxing gym owned by Sam Coach Murphy, a former Marine trainer. The punching bags were torn, the floor grimy, the air damp with mildew, but for Amara, it was the only place where she felt she had a voice. Coach Murphy eyed the thin young woman walking in and asked bluntly, "Ever been in a fight before?" "Yes, sir." "Ever lost?" "Yes, but they didn't come back for round 2. He let out a raspy laugh. "Good, you've got fire, but remember this. Boxing isn't about surviving, it's about existing as a human being." 3 years later, Amara had become a ghost in the local amateur circuit. No official coach, no sponsors, just a borrowed pair of gloves and an unbreakable will. But no promoter wanted to sign her. She wasn't marketable. No fair skin, no commercial smile, no clean family background to package for PR. One brand rep even told her straight to her face, "Our audience prefers the polished feminist image, not the street kind like you." That line haunted Amara. From that day on, she decided, if no one opened a door for her, she would punch until the door shattered. By the end of 2024, when she heard that Velocity Boxing Club in Los Angeles was launching a government-funded scholarship program, Amara boarded a cross-country bus. In her pocket were just $120 and a flyer that read, "For those who dare to step into the ring, they were never invited to." She arrived in Los Angeles, rented a shared bunk in a Koreatown apartment, worked night shifts at a hotel to cover rent, and spent her days figuring out how to apply. What she didn't expect was that the first person to greet her at that gleaming gym would be the living embodiment of every prejudice she'd ever faced. Trish Clipper Reynolds, the reigning queen of boxing, the face of everything the world called perfect. Light-skinned, middle-class background, a face fit for fashion brands, and a blind conviction that her place in life was above others by default. That morning, when the entire gym laughed at her, Amara didn't feel fear, only déjà vu. It was the same laughter from that Atlanta alley, the same jungle girl slur from years ago. Only this time she wasn't 10 anymore, and her fists had learned to speak for her heart. Mama used to say respect can't be bought, but maybe it can be earned. Amara Lewis. The Velocity Boxing Club shone under studio lights. Everything felt like a staged performance. And Trish Reynolds knew exactly how to put on a show. She leaned toward her phone, her voice honey-sweet, but her eyes sharp as glass. 3 rounds, people. You got that? A girl from Atlanta wants to test herself against the Queen of Los Angeles. Record this because after today, there won't be any more Cinderellas walking into this palace. Laughter spread, fast as wildfire. Phones lifted. One of Trish's cameramen zoomed in on Amara, dragging the lens slowly from head to toe, deliberately stopping at her scuffed sneakers. She really thinks she's fighting in those. Probably bought them at Goodwill, someone cracked. Amara stood motionless. She didn't argue back. Years of cleaning floors and hotel rooms had taught her. Silence can hurt, but it's often stronger than shouting. Trish turned back to her camera, her voice smooth and steady, like a TV host. I just want to prove something. Not everyone deserves this ring. Talent is not charity. Here, we don't save people, we win. She punched her gloves together. Thwack! The sound echoed through the room like a verdict. From the back, Tom Rodriguez stepped forward, his voice heavy. Trish, that's enough. This isn't a circus. Then don't watch, coach. I'm just protecting my brand. But the real storm didn't start in the gym. It started online. Within 15 minutes, a clip titled, "Homeless-Looking Girl Challenges World Champion," went viral on TikTok. Comments poured in, "Teach her place, queen." This is how you crush pity. These people keep asking for chances but got zero talent. And buried among them, one lone comment, "Be careful. The quiet ones are usually the dangerous ones." No one paid attention. When Trish began her live stream warm-up, viewership had already passed 250,000. She beamed at the lens, showing off a few playful jabs. "My dear fans, I don't hate anyone. I just want to keep the standard for women's boxing high, so no one thinks suffering alone makes you worthy." In the back, Amara sat alone in the locker room, rewrapping her worn hand wraps. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from compressed energy. On her old phone, notifications popped non-stop. "Tagged in video, you've been mentioned." She turned off the screen, looked at her cracked leather gloves, and whispered, "They won't be laughing anymore." Tom entered quietly, resting a hand on her shoulder. "Amara, do you realize who you're up against? Trish isn't just a fighter. She's a brand. Every punch you throw will be recorded. Every mistake will become a meme." Amara looked up, calm and steady. "I'm not fighting to be famous. I'm fighting so no one ever looks down on me again." Tom fell silent. He had heard hundreds of reasons to fight, but never one that cut this deep. Back in the ring, Trish was tightening a fresh pair of gold gloves, her name stitched in. "Do I look good?" she asked her manager. "Perfect. Don't forget to smile when you knock her down." Amara walked out. No spotlight, no cheering fans. Just a slender figure, steady eyes, and a heartbeat that matched the rhythm of a drum. The silence lasted a few seconds. A sports journalist murmured, "There's something strange about that girl. She's not scared." Marcus, a retired boxer, replied quietly, "She looks like someone who's lost before, and people who've truly lost are dangerous." Trish approached, her confident smile unwavering. "Ready for your 3 minutes of fame?" "I don't need 3 minutes," Amara said. "Just one chance." Ding! Every camera turned on. Comments flew across the screen, and in that instant, two worlds collided. One born to shine, and one forged in darkness. The air in the locker room was heavy as lead. From the hallway came the muffled sounds of laughter, cheers, and pop music from Trish's live stream. In here, only breath, the scent of old gloves, and the pale light slipping through a narrow window. Amara sat on the wooden bench, head bowed, hands resting on her knees. Her cheap phone lay beside her, its screen lighting up again and again with new notifications. Cinderella fight trending. Queen Clipper, Atlanta girl. Each hashtag stung like a needle piercing her skin. Tom walked in, holding a water bottle and a towel. He'd seen hundreds of fighters before a match, but never anyone this still. "You know," he began slowly, "boxing isn't just about punching. It's about keeping your head steady when the whole world wants to see you fall." Amara looked up, eyes fixed on the dim light reflecting off the wall. "Coach, I've fallen before. They just never watched me get back up." "You don't owe them that." "No, but I owe it to myself." Her voice was so firm that Tom froze. There was something in her tone. Exhaustion burned into fire. He sat down beside her, exhaling. "You know who Trish is, right? She's been on CNN, did a photo shoot with Serena Williams, has a $4 million sponsorship deal. She's the face of women's boxing in America." "I know. And you've got nothing to lose." Amara smiled faintly. That's exactly why she should be afraid. Silence. A drop of water fell from the air vent, tack, echoing sharply against the floor. Tom leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his tone lower, more sincere. I've seen fighters lose because they fight for the crowd instead of themselves. If you go in there chasing payback, you'll lose control. Amara shook her head. I'm not here for revenge. I just want them to stop looking down on people like me. I want, for once, for them to look straight at me without laughing. She stood, gazing at her reflection in the cracked mirror. The face that stared back was tired, yet unyielding, eyes deep and metallic, glowing with quiet defiance. You know, she continued, when I was little, I used to dream I was running down a road with no finish line. Every time I got close to the white stripe, someone moved it farther away. And today, I'll stop running. Let them be the ones to chase. Outside, the loudspeaker blared. 3-round exhibition match. Trish Clipper, Reynolds versus Amara Lewis. The cheers surged like a wave. Trish was being filmed in close-up, her radiant smile gleaming as she signed her gloves and kissed the camera lens. Let's make history. My way. Tom glanced toward the door. Ready? I've been walking backward all my life, coach. She picked up her phone, looking once more at the wallpaper, a photo of her mother Lucille, smiling in her nurse's uniform. Now it's time they see me moving forward. Down the hallway to the ring, the lighting shifted. Cold, white, emotionless, as if everything had been drained but resolve. She passed posters along the wall. Discipline, power, respect. Each word reflected in her, eyes like a vow. At the end of the corridor, Tom spoke softly. If it gets too intense, stay on defense, keep your distance. Amara replied without turning back. I didn't come here to defend. I came to touch the one thing they've kept out of reach, respect. The doors opened. Blinding lights flooded in. The crowd roared Trish's name. Reporters raised their phones. Influencers streamed the moment live. Amara stepped out. No spotlight, no cheers. But each step landed heavy, deliberate, unshakable. The announcer's voice boomed. From Atlanta, Georgia, the underdog challenger, Amara Lewis. A few mocking whistles echoed through the noise. But amid the chaos, Tom heard something else. The stillness of someone who knew she was about to do the unthinkable. Ding! The crowd rose, phones flashing, light spilling over Trish's face like a Hollywood premiere. Amara, by contrast, stood motionless. No smile, no nod. Just one deep breath before raising her glove in a brief, formal salute. Round 1. Trish lunged forward from the bell, unleashing a rapid triple jab, then a fierce cross. Whoosh, 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 slicing the air. Amara stepped back half a pace, leaned aside, dodging them all. No counter, no rush, like someone listening to her opponent's heartbeat. She's scared already, Trish sneered, twisting her wrist, circling left. 3 rounds, and I'll make sure she can't look in a mirror again. From the corner, Tom watched sharply. He noticed something uncanny. Amara wasn't blinking. Each time Trish struck, Amara's gaze locked on, reading every motion as if time itself had slowed. Online, Trish's live stream had hit 500,000 viewers. The comment section was a storm of flame emojis and mocking laughter. Take her down, Queen! What's she doing just standing there, scared already? She's terrified. Look at her face. But inside the gym, the crowd felt something else. A strange silence. No one shouted. No one clapped. The entire room seemed frozen by Amara's calm. Trish swung a powerful right hook. Whoosh! Amara tilted her head, dodging with the smallest motion, and in that same instant, countered with a left check hook. Clean, crisp, and precise as the snap of a bottle cap. Crack! The sound echoed through the room. Trish froze, a thin drop of blood sliding down her chin. The audience erupted. Some shouted, others laughed in disbelief. Tom whispered under his breath, "Oh my God, she's not fighting back. She's teaching her how to breathe. Trish stumbled back, touching her lips, staring at the red stain on her glove. Her expression shifted, surprise melting into rage. "That punch was luck, baby," she shouted. "No one gets lucky twice." Amara didn't answer. She just raised her guard, eyes steady. The lights caught the faint scar on her cheek, a relic from being attacked on the street at 16. It didn't make her weaker. It reminded her that fear wasn't something she was allowed to keep. Trish came again. 4 jabs in quick succession. This time, Amara didn't dodge. She blocked with her shoulder, slid her left foot aside, flawless footwork, not a wasted move, and launched her second counter, a cross straight to Trish's glove that knocked her off balance. Thud. Crash. The crowd roared. A reporter murmured to his colleague, "Who is this girl? She's not on any pro roster. Her form, it's pure." Trish's breathing grew ragged, her face flushed. In her head, hundreds of live comments scrolled by. "She's not playing. You're losing, Trish. Focus, girl." The anger rose like smoke. She screamed at Amara. "You think you're better than me just because you're poor?" "No," Amara replied softly, almost in a whisper. "I'm better because I'm not afraid to lose." Trish threw a full-power swing, the wind whipping Amara's hair. But in a fraction of a second, Amara ducked, twisted her hips, and countered with a short, razor-sharp uppercut. Crack! Trish's head snapped back, her eyes dazed. The bell rang. End of round 1. The room went dead silent. From the stands, someone shouted, "Holy hell, she hit Trish!" Tom stood up, gripping the railing, his heart pounding. Trish collapsed into her corner seat, gasping, trying to steady herself. Her manager shoved a water bottle at her. "Smile, smile for the camera." "I just got punched in the face, Michael," she barked. "No one smiles after that." Across the ring, Amara sat still, breathing deeply, hands clenched tight. Tom approached, voice low. "Good job, you're ahead." She nodded, eyes unblinking. "No, I haven't hit for real yet. That was just a hello." Outside, the live stream exploded with comments. "Who is she?" "That Atlanta girl just humbled a champion." "Cinderella got hands." Trish heard the MC counting down to round 2. She wiped the blood from her lip, inhaling hard. The arrogance in her eyes was gone, replaced by the terror of being publicly undone. The bell rang. Round 2. The air thickened. No more laughter, no more phones held up. The room collectively held its breath, everyone sensing something was about to happen. Trish stepped to center ring, jaw clenched tight. No more showmanship. Now she was fighting for her pride, or at least to prove she still had control. "All right, princess from Atlanta," Trish growled. "You want real? I'll give you real." She lunged, triple jab, 1 cross, a loaded right hook. Amara absorbed each hit cleanly, blocking, shifting weight. No panic, no hesitation, just calm precision. She moved as if reading a familiar book, one she'd already memorized word for word. Tom muttered from below, "She's waiting for a rhythm break." Marcus, the retired fighter, replied, "No, she's waiting for Trish to expose herself." Trish swung a wide left hook, and that was the moment. Amara pivoted on her right foot, twisted her hips, and unleashed a flurry so fast the naked eye could barely follow. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. 4 dry, brutal pops, like firecrackers. The audience jumped to their feet. A few mouths hung open, speechless. Trish staggered back 3 steps, vision blurring, the world tilting sideways. Blood dripped from her lip onto the canvas. "What the hell just happened?" she gasped. Slow motion replay. The first jab broke her guard, the cross snapped her chin, the left hook whipped her cheek, and the uppercut lifted her body clean off the floor for half a second before she fell. Every sound vanished. Only Amara's steady breathing remained. "That," Tom whispered, "is lightning." Trish struggled to her feet, clinging to the ropes, eyes unfocused. She could see the crowd filming, streaming. But this time, they weren't cheering for her. Comments flashed across screens like knives carving the truth. Trish is getting wrecked. The girl from Atlanta is teaching humility. Queen's crown is slipping. Some of Trish's own fans turned their phones toward Amara, chanting her name. Lightning! Lightning! The chant spread through the gym, from the stands, from the very people who'd mocked her minutes ago. Trish heard it, and inside her chest, it felt like 1,000 needles. No, this can't be happening, she muttered. I'm the world champion. I can't lose to her. But deep down, she knew this wasn't just some girl. She was facing a storm 20 years in the making. A woman raised in the dark, unseen, unheard. And now, every punch she threw spoke for all those who had ever been dismissed. Amara stepped closer, not striking, her voice low but clear in the breathless silence. You think only the rich know how to fight? Where I come from, people don't fight for titles. They fight for dinner. Trish gritted her teeth and screamed. Shut up! She swung one last desperate punch. Heavy, slow, wild. Amara turned her shoulder, slipped it easily, and countered with a short, precise right hand, sharp as a needle. Crack! Trish collapsed, knees hitting the canvas. The count began. 1, 2, 3. She tried to stand, but her legs trembled. 4, 5. Tom glanced at his watch. Marcus shook his head. 6, 7, 8. Trish dropped again. 10. The bell rang. The room exploded. People screamed, phones raised high, shouting, knockdown. Within a minute, the live stream passed 1 million viewers. Amara stepped back and bowed her head. No celebration, no shouting. She simply placed a hand over her chest, breathing deeply, a silent prayer for her mother. Tom walked over, a faint smile breaking through. You just knocked down an empire. Amara looked out at the crowd, still roaring, and whispered, No, I just made them see us, even if only once. Trish was helped back to her corner, vision blurred, her voice shaking. I lost? For real? Her manager answered softly, Not just lost. You just became the example of everything you used to mock. The camera zoomed in on Amara's face. Sweat mixed with tears. Under the white lights, her eyes gleamed, not from victory, but relief. She whispered, Mom, finally, I'm not invisible anymore. The fight was over. No one left their seats. People just stood, staring, as if they needed time to believe what had just happened was real. Trish Clipper Reynolds, the world champion, slumped in her corner, blood soaked into the white towel, lipstick smeared across her cheek. The flashes still flickered, but now they weren't the lights of glory. They were the lights of judgment. Are you okay? Her manager whispered. Turn the camera off, she rasped, trying to sit up. No, we can't, he said quickly. Viewers just hit 2 million. We're trending #1. Just smile. Trish snapped her head toward him, eyes blazing red. Do you have any idea what I just lost? He forced a weak laugh. Oh, I know. We just lost the brand. Across the ring, Amara still stood silently. No cheering, no waving. She simply bowed to the audience, then turned and helped her opponent to her feet. You said you wanted to teach me a lesson, Amara said quietly. I hope you've learned the most important one, that respect doesn't come from status, but from character. Trish stared at her, speechless. A tear rolled down her cheek, blending with sweat and blood. That moment, caught on camera, would become a global symbol overnight. One woman fallen, another kneeling to lift her up. 2 gloves of opposite colors reflecting the same light of truth. 3 hours later, the internet detonated. The hashtag #NoirLightningLewis surpassed 30 million searches. Clips of the knockdown flooded TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. The phrase, "When dignity hits harder than fame," became a viral slogan. Meanwhile, the tag Sacher Queen Clipper was buried beneath trash can emojis and ridicule. Sponsors pulled out one by one. Nike issued a statement, Partnership suspended due to live stream content violating community standards. Gatorade canceled the Unbreakable Spirit campaign that once bore her name. Trish's Instagram lost 400,000 followers in 24 hours. A career built on pride collapsed under a single moment of contempt. Meanwhile, in a cramped apartment on the east side of the city, Amara sat on her bed, unwrapping her hands. Her phone buzzed non-stop. A message from Tom. ESPN wants to interview you. Don't say no. Another message from a sports company. Golden Gloves Promotions offers a 3-fight contract worth $1.5 million. There's no. Amara froze. She couldn't believe it. That same morning she'd been scrubbing hotel floors. Now, the world wanted to hear her speak. Tom entered, holding the next morning's newspaper, voice trembling with pride. Look at this. Across the front page, the headline blazed. Lightning storm from Atlanta strikes Los Angeles. Below it, the photo of her helping Trish to her feet, the image that had already become legendary. Days later, the world's media swarmed the Velocity Boxing Club. Reporters packed the room. Tom sat at the center, struggling to stay composed as questions flew at him from every direction. Do you think that punch changed women's boxing forever? Who is Amara Lewis? Why wasn't she ever listed as one of your trainees? How did she train? What's her background? Tom smiled faintly. She trained herself. I just opened the door. She walked through it on her own. Meanwhile, in Miami, Trish hid away in her apartment. Calls from sponsors, journalists, even friends. All went unanswered. She picked up her phone and replayed the knockout clip, for the 10th time that day. In slow motion, her distorted face filled the screen, and Amara's punch pierced straight through the fake confidence she had worn for years. She threw the phone aside and buried her face in her hands, sobbing. I don't hate her, she whispered. I hate myself for ever thinking I was above her. No one heard those words, but months later, when she said them again in a small podcast interview, the clip went viral, shared millions of times. She said quietly, I forgot that boxing isn't a show, it's the truth, and the truth hit me awake. 3 months later, Amara signed her first professional contract and appeared on the cover of Sports Illustrated with the headline, The Power of Silence. Below it, her quote read, I don't need them to love me. I just need them to never look down on me again. That line completed the circle, from the girl mocked in a gym to the symbol of dignity in sports. 3 months later, under the bright noon sun in Los Angeles, hundreds gathered in front of a newly painted white building with a sign reading, Hands Up Foundation, empowering young girls through boxing. On a small stage in the courtyard stood Amara Lewis, dressed in a simple cream suit. The same hands that once knocked out a world champion now held a microphone. Behind her hung a large photograph, 2 boxing gloves of contrasting skin tones touching gently under a beam of light, the foundation's emblem. Reporters, media crews, and major sports brands filled the audience. In the front row, Tom Rodriguez sat beside Marcus, his eyes glistening. He whispered, She's gone further than any fighter I've ever trained. Marcus nodded, not because of her punches, but because of how she stood up after them. Amara drew a deep breath. Her voice rang out, low, steady, needing no background music or effects. 3 months ago, I walked into a gym where no one wanted me there. They looked at me like I didn't belong, like I was trespassing on their world. That day, I didn't fight to win. I fought to exist, like everyone who's ever been told they don't belong. Silence filled the courtyard. Her eyes fell on a few brown-skinned girls in the front row, their hair in braids, their round eyes wide with admiration. This foundation isn't here to retell my victory. It's here to honor thousands of silent victories by girls who'll never be filmed or posted about. Because respect, like opportunity, is not a privilege. It's a right. The entire audience rose, applauding, a long, thunderous sound like steady rain. Tom bowed his head, tears in his eyes. At the same time, in a small Miami apartment, Trish Clipper Reynolds sat before her TV, watching the ceremony live. She wore a gray sweater, her hair tied back simply, no trace of perfect makeup. On the table beside her was a job application for a community gym coach. The MC's voice came through the screen. The woman who once defeated a world champion now uses those same hands to build opportunity for the next generation. Trish gave a faint, bittersweet smile. She really won? She murmured. Not just in the ring. She picked up her phone, opening the social media app she once ruled. Under a video of Amara's foundation launch, she typed a short comment. I learned the hard way. Respect isn't given, it's earned. Congratulations. Though posted from an account once hated by millions, the comment was pinned to the top. And for the first time, the internet fell silent, in rare, collective empathy. That evening, Amara returned to her small Koreatown apartment. She sat on the balcony, gazing out at the glowing city. A soft breeze carried faint music from somewhere below. On the table lay her first pair of boxing gloves. Torn, faded, the stitching frayed. She placed her hand over them and whispered, I did it, Mom. The streetlights cast a warm orange glow across her face, her eyes shining like embers. A month later, Time magazine published a photo of Amara teaching young girls how to box. The caption read, She didn't just break barriers, she rebuilt the ring. The media called her the lightning that healed. But her students and the world now simply called her Coach Amara. Final scene. An autumn afternoon inside the Hands Up Foundation gym. The rhythmic sound of gloves hitting sandbags echoed softly. Amara walked around, adjusting the stance of a young girl who had just started training. Keep your shoulders low, don't be afraid, she said gently. Boxing isn't about hurting others, it's about finding yourself again. The girl smiled, eyes bright. The camera slowly pulled back from the ring as soft music swelled. When they laugh, stand firm. When they doubt, move forward. And when they strike, remember, lightning only comes to those who dare to face the storm. In the end, Amara didn't just win a fight. She reclaimed what the world had long denied her, respect. And Trish, from the height of arrogance, learned the hardest lesson every powerful person fears. That fame can be bought, but character cannot. One fought to prove her status. The other fought to protect her dignity. One fell because she despised others. The other rose because she never despised herself. This story isn't about winning or losing. It's about how we choose to rise when the world tries to push us down. Because sometimes the strongest punch isn't made with the fist, but with the unshakable silence of the underestimated. And you, if someone has ever looked down on you for your background, your color, or your place in life, what will you do to make them look again? Share your thoughts below. And if this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Nest Stories, where we honor true stories of dignity, courage, and justice.